Hello students, good morning. This is a video for those students who are appearing in exam and MCQs. This video is especially made for MCQs because in third year English Foundation third year course they're supposed to tick that are supposed to attempt MCQs, right? So question will be asked on the basis of multiple choice based questions will be there. So I am just going to give you summary of literature part, right? Which covers in first unit, right? So that you will be in situation once you have idea about the content, then you will be able to do all type of questions related to literature part, because in second and third fourth next units, that is something about reading comprehension, writing skills, right, and grammar portion. But here, without knowing the gist of the content, you will not be able to write attempt any kind of question. You need to know what is the content, right? What is the summary of two poems and two prose. So here I'm speaking the same. First is the poem The Express, which is written by Stephen Spender. So you just first suggestion is that you all have to remember the authors, and in your syllabus, or two authors have same name, Stephen Stephen Spender and Stephen Leacock. So please remember that Stephen Spender has written the poetry The Express, that is written by Stephen Spender, and Stephen Leacock has written the prose named My Financial Career, which is shared by the author Stephen Leacock, and he shared his experience regarding bank. How did he go to bank, and then what happens with him because of his overthought and nervousness. So we are going to discuss the same. Second thing, Wordsworth has written the poetry This Is the World, right? World too much with us, right? Means we are too much associated, attached with the transient world. This is a message. Means world is very ephemeral and we are too much attached instead of enjoying our environment, nature. We want to environment, we want to enjoy in artificial nature. That is the very important poem written by Wordsworth, and name of the poem is The World is Too Much with Us. And last part of this video will be running for governor. That is again experience, personal experience, in fact very bad experience of the author, which was shared here by Mark Twain. He shared that how he was thinking for governor, post of governor, and then how politics, dirty politics, right? He was victimized, he was targeted, and finally he had to withdraw his uh, nomination for the governor. So these are the different parts I'm going to discuss, right? First is The Express. The Express is the poem often titled The Truly Great, right? So please remember, The Truly Great is the name of the same poem, The Express, right? So this the poem is a lyrical tribute to those who lived with passion and stayed connected to their inner fire. You have to remember this key idea, lyrical tribute to those who lived with passion and stayed connected to their inner fire. This is the very important part of the poem. Core theme is celebration of human spirit and history. So it covers the celebration of human spirit and history, and summary is that Stephen honors individuals who did not just exist but vibrated with life and inspiration. He argues that the truly great are those who remember the soul's origin in the sun and leave behind a trail of light for others rather than just material achievement. This is the key line of the poem, right? So you just have to remember this, the key line of the poem, which is material gain, achievement, right? So in this poem, the express author has given example, and author said that through poem, right? And author is the first one. Stephen Pender is the first author who has compared human life with non-living thing or with the train. How train starts and how train gains uh, its speed and how it looks. It looks like a queen, and it does not bother about the slum dwellers. It moves, right? And if we see from far if we see the train movement from distance, then we uh, imagine that it's a just like a snake, right? And its noise and its appearance author is talking about in this poetry. And author says that author salutes, right? He argues that the truly great are those, or those person are truly great, who remember the soul's origin in the sun and leave behind a trail of light for others. Means the train, when train goes, it leaves trail for others, right? That's a smoke, that's a trail of smoke, chuk 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 piston and all, than just material achievements. So that life is, we learn, then we gain speed in our life, success, everything, and finally when we leave this world, so we should leave something, leave the path, leave the message for coming generation, which is done by the express, the train, right? Life starts, struggles with the struggles and all, then we gain achievements, we gain success in our life, but after certain point we have to come down. But when we come down, when we leave this world, then we leave trail behind us. So that is the message. That is not, life is not just material gain. That is something we have to do for the coming generation. So this is the summary of the express, right? Now, students, you have to remember phrases which are used in the poem. I cannot give you each and every phrase and all, but you just remember that piston, right? And author has compared train with the movement of train with the queen, something like this. So after this I'm going to share uh, MCQs based on all this uh, content. So you just read the MCQs in your group, right? Now moving to next poem, that is The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth. A classic romantic sonnet. Students, please remember this poem is a sonnet. Sonnet means 14 line poem. So you may be asked, that's a 14 lines poem is called, 14 lines poem is called 14 lines. Poem is called sonnet. So please remember what is called. First of all, The World is Too Much With Us is a poem, a sonnet, and sonnet means 14 line poems. That serves as a wake up call regarding our relationships with the nature, right? So this poem is a wake up call regarding our relationship with nature, how we avoid nature and how we are indulged with materialistic world. So core theme, you just have to remember the core theme, that is material versus nature. And what's a summary? Wordsworth laments how humanity has become obsessed with getting and spending, how blindly we want to achieve materialistic gain at the cost of destroying nature, right? Harming nature, losing its emotional connection to the natural world, right? So, Wordsworth is known as the nature poet, right? He was the worshipper of nature, and Wordsworth has shown his concern through this sonnet. The world is too much with us. We are very much attached with the world, too much attached with the world, and we don't use logic, we don't have connection with the nature, and recklessly, blindly we the uh, use the uh, use the nature, and we destroy, we harm nature, and we overuse of the resources which are available, and this way we are very much uh, very much what we can say, that harsh to the nature. So he famously claims he would rather be a pagan, he who sees gods in the ocean, than a modern person who is out of tune with the wind and the waves. Very important line. This suggests what author is saying, that author says that he famously claimed that he would rather be a pagan who sees gods in the ocean than the modern person who out of tune with the wind and waves, means nature. So he says that I would like to be a pagan, right? Why? Because he is the angel of the god, or he is the person who sees gods in the ocean, right? कण कण में भगवान कहते हैं ना, तो उसको हर चीज़ में, जो पैगान है, जो सेज है, जो साधु है, उसको हर स्टेप में गॉड दिखता है. एवरीथिंग इज मेड बाय गॉड. सो आई डोंट वांट टू बिकम अ मॉडर्न मैन who is disconnected or out of tune, who is disconnected with the nature. Wind and waves means nature. Who is not connected with the nature, who does not know about the importance of the nature. That's a nature. If nature is there, then we are here, and nature also is a mute living being, right? It cannot speak to us, but nature is also has the same right what we have. So here author has shown his concern through this poem. The world is too much with us means we are too much attached with this materialistic world. So author has given his concern with the nature, and that is the poem of materialistic world versus nature. Now third part is My Financial Career by Stephen Leacock. So here a hilarious short story that captures the universal anxiety, right? Anxiety of dealing with official institutions means when we come across with something new. When, let me give you example of computer. When technology came, so from our generation, right, we feel the same anxiety. So that's a official institution, right? uh, where a protocol we have to maintain, we have to be familiar with formalities and all. You can take another example of air, suppose airport. So how to do the formalities before uh, sitting in the flight or airbus. So what are the formalities, check in and everything other formalities. So now new generation is quite familiar, so you can do. But suppose we are not familiar, so we feel anxiety. The same anxiety once upon a time author has shared when banking, right? So basic work of banking means opening your account, filling the form, and talking to the window people, and how to talk, what should to ask, should not ask, something author had described here. That's how we are, we think, and then how we do mistake one after the another. So core theme is anxiety and absurdity of bureaucracy. Like when we see the uh, person bureaucratics, and then we how we feel anxiety because we think that we don't know everything. And then officials, they are learned scholar people who are sitting in the bank, so they are quite familiar with the modus operandi uh, of the operation of banking and all everything. But we common people do not. So how should we behave? We should accept that we don't know, and we can ask, and we can, before uh, going to bank or airport or any other places which is not familiar to us. So we could have, we could we should take idea, and then if we don't know, then we can ask them, the person, right? So this is the story, author's personal experience. Author is Stephen Leacock. Please remember the name of the author. This is Stephen Leacock, and Stephen Spender has written the poem The Express, but Stephen Leacock has written this prose, My Financial Career. What's the summary? The narrator, intimidated by the atmosphere of a bank, right? So how he becomes nervous when he enters into the bank, and becomes so nervous that he makes a series of ridiculous mistakes. And out of nervousness we do lots of mistakes. So how ridiculous mistakes he does in the bank, including accidentally withdrawing all the money he just deposited, right? So how does he $56? Please, you remember this question may be asked. So his salary is raised, and he wants to deposit his money to the bank, and he goes to window, and he says that I want to talk to manager. However, manager is not available for common customers. and manager comes in a special case when if you are you have any serious information, or you are going to deposit huge amount or something like this. So but a manager meets, and when he says that I want to open my account, so he wastes manager's time, and then he comes out and he fills the form in which he deposits, uh, he writes $56, and immediately he realizes that uh, he has to he has to keep some money for daily uh, daily expenses. So he takes withdraw form, and when he fills the withdrawal form where he writes $56, he deposited $56 and he withdraws $56, and finally he realizes that it's a blunder, right? Instead of $6 what he wants to save for the monthly expenses, and $50 he wanted to deposit, but instead of writing $6 he writes $56. So window people person, he gets amazed that just now he has deposited $56, and now he is withdrawing $56. And this when he realizes his mistake, so that his crumbled money he puts into his pocket and comes out of the bank, and people laugh at him like anything, and he has become the laughing stock of them, bank people. So this is the experience which is shared in the form of my financial career by Stephen Leacock. Now, last is that's a running for governor. Running for governor is a satirical look at how political campaign can quickly turn into a circus of character, right? So here author is talking about political campaigns or dirty politics, right? So that's a circus of character assassination. How people can destroy your image because of their selfish gains, because of their self gains, or because of dirty politics. So, author says that political corruption and the power of lies, right? So, he has depicted what's the situation, political situation in America. So, what is the summary? Author says that Mark Twain humorously recounts the fictional bid for governor of New York. Despite being an honest man, he was the honest man. He was very confident when he filled the nomination. Because when he files the nomination, he thinks that I am an author and my image is very uh, good image. But he is soon accused by the press, right? That is also very big problem. So that in newspaper, that time electronic media was not there, but in newspaper every day he is his news is captured, which is baseless allegations are were imposed to the author, and of everything from perjury to stealing, right? So he has blamed for like illegal actions and all. However, he never involved in drinking, and he never finds in the street after a drunkard, and he never does anything for that's a China, and that's a place. He never deceives anyone, any widow lady, right? But number of allegations always imposed to him, and then his because of tarnishing uh, his image, right? So he was victimized by such peoples. He eventually withdraws because he asks his grandmother. So she, in the beginning, she suggests him to withdraw, but he thinks, no, I cannot withdraw, I am a fighter, I will fight and I will run for governor. But then at last he withdraws from the race, because that's a uh, two people are also there, you just remember. Right now I'm not remembering their name. John and Johnson and Johnson, probably. Mr. Smith and John and John something. So you remember both the name of the contestants, and whose image is very very like they are accused, they are dirty people, but they are very cunning, and because of them Mark Twain's image is uh, image not tarnished, but then they try to spoil Mark Twain's image, right? So you just remember both the name of the contestant, other contestant. Finally, he withdraws the race, realizing that an honest man stands no chance against the dishonest Meir campaign. This is the final conclusion of the story, that an honest man stands no chance against dishonest smear campaign. राइट, सो कहते हैं दलाली में, कोयले की दलाली में अपने हाथ भी काले होते हैं. You can't fight with such persons, so it is better to withdraw. This is the moral of the story, that such there are such people whom it is better whom should be avoided. It is better to withdraw in front of them, because you can't fight with them, because you're in if you fight, then you're not going to achieve anything. Instead, you will lose your image, right? So that is why author decides to withdraw. However, author is a fighter, but finally he comes into a conclusion that such people are different kind of people whom you should ignore or avoid. It is better to avoid them, right? So this is the story of the running for governor. Now comparison. So that is first work is that the Express is a poem by Stephen Spender, right? Tone is reverent, right? Reverent means respect, and main conflict is spirit versus forgetfulness, right? So that's a spiritual, right? Spirit versus forgetfulness, right? We should not forget, we should remember that what we have gained, finally we have to live in this world, सब कुछ यही छोड़कर जाना है. तो बड़ी रिस्पेक्ट. So he regards those who leaves the trail of uh, success, right, for those, for coming generation. So do something for others, so that your coming generation will remember you, and uh, you set the example so that life will be easier to them. So that is the message of the Express. Like a train starts and gain its speed, but finally it becomes slow, and it leaves the world, not world, but it comes into zero again. This is the life, but it leaves so many, it helps so many people. So similarly, we have to be helpful to others, and finally when we leave the world, so we should make the life comfortable of coming generation. So this is first poetry. Second is also poem, which is written by Wordsworth, that is The World is Too Much with Us. That is author express, and author is frustrated. Why? Because of nature versus consumerism. Consumerism means we consume a lot, we consume nature, we over consume nature, right? We have uh, we have mm, cut the trees, right? We have played with the rivers and um, mountains, hills, right? Overuse of the resources, overuse of resources versus material nature. However, we should protect the nature. Nature is a god. This way author has given this sonnet 14 line poem through which author tries to leave the message that we should connect ourselves, our soul should be connected with the nature. Now next part is, that is my financial career by Stephen Leacock, and that's a comedic nature, tone is comedic, and that is individual versus institution. How should we behave in an institution? How should behave when we don't know anything, so that we should behave properly? That is the that's a my financial career. Author has shared his experience in the bank. How does he enter into the bank and do number of mistakes? He does number of mistakes one after the another, and finally he comes out and he knows that I am the laughing stock of so many people because of his mistakes. And at last, that is the that's the Running for Governor, written by Mark Twain, and that's the tone is satirical because author says that there is no place for good people, right? Good people cannot contested for the any post, political post, because this is the dirty politics. So truth versus political lies, right? How political people speak lie, how what's the game, lie game is played in political world. So finally author is very frustrated and he withdraws for the post of governor. Because of these people, he concludes that we can't fight with such people. Their world is so different, they are the liars, right? Author has pasted original copies of newspaper in his work, that is Running for Governor. And this way author uh, has given number of example that how he has been victimized by such people. So this is the story of uh, Running for Governor is written by Mark Twain. So I have spoken on these all these two poems. Other two poems, first is the Express, second poem or sonnet is the World is Too Much With Us, and two prose, My Financial Career and Running for the Governor, right? So you just remember all these, and then I think you'll be in situation to tick the right option, right, in the exam. So all the best, all of you. God bless you.